I was the hated side character in a story about a beloved heroine. When my mission failed, all I wished for was an end. I just wanted to go home, to my real world. But when they finally realized that my will to live had truly faded, the same people who once mocked and tormented me began to return, one after another, begging me to stay. They pleaded for me not to die, not to leave them behind. But I was already finished with them. My assignment had been simple in theory: save the devoted second male lead from his doomed fate. I was supposed to stop him from taking his life over the heroine's indifference. Instead, I watched him walk out of our engagement party the moment she called. When the crowd had scattered, I went alone to the rooftop terrace of Vaughan Tower. The city lights blurred below, and I asked the system in my head again, just to be sure. If this body dies, I can finally go home, right? A cold, mechanical voice answered, yes. That was all I needed to hear. I started walking toward the railing, the wind tugging at my dress. I'd barely taken 2 steps when a mocking voice cut through the night. I turned, and there he was. Leo Sterling, my adoptive brother. Not by blood, of course. I'd found him in an alley when he was 7 and taken him home. We were inseparable once, until he was 14, and his wealthy biological parents came to claim him. The next time I saw him, he was already one of the heroine Sarah Roswell's most devoted followers. The years I'd spent working 3 jobs to pay for his schooling had been reduced to nothing more than a brief flicker of gratitude when we reunited. That didn't last long. Once he heard the rumors that I was a jealous, spiteful woman obsessed with Sarah, he started treating me like a disease. Tonight had been no different. During my engagement party with Joey Vaughn, news broke that Sarah had been kidnapped. The hall emptied in an instant. My fiancé was the first to leave. Before he walked out, he grabbed my wrist, his eyes dark and accusing. "This better not be your doing," he hissed, then left without a second glance. That was the 100th time. Since arriving in this world, Joey had chosen Sarah over me exactly 100 times. And with that, the system marked my mission as a failure. A man that devoted to his heroine doesn't need saving. Trying to change that was arrogance on my part, a mistake both I and the system would pay for. I let out a soft, bitter laugh and looked at Leo again. The warmth I once felt for him was long gone. "I don't know why you're still here," I said coldly, "but do yourself a favor and stay out of my way. If you linger too long, you'll miss your chance to play the hero for your precious goddess." After all, Sarah's so-called kidnapping was nothing but a staged performance, a carefully planned stunt by her family to destroy my wedding. Once everyone had rushed to save her, she would make her grand, miraculous return. Leo flinched, probably taken aback by the cold edge in my voice. He opened his mouth, but I had already turned my back on him. My mission had failed. There was no reason for me to linger in this world any longer. The only small mercy was that the system had noted my relentless efforts and granted me an exemption from punishment. As long as I left this world before the deadline, I could avoid total erasure. But back in my own world, my original body was dying, ravaged by a terminal illness. I remembered my mother's gaze just before I had been transported here, eyes brimming with gentle, heartbreaking sorrow. I bit my lip and quickened my steps toward the railing. "Faye, what are you doing?" Leo's voice, usually sharp and dismissive, now carried urgent fear as he saw me inching closer to the edge. He was right behind me. "What is this stunt? You know pretending to die won't sway Joey. And after everything you've done, even if you jumped right now, you'd never compare to Sarah. You." His words caught in his throat. From his perspective, he watched me vault over the railing without hesitation, plunging into the glittering city below. The wind roared past me, sharp and stinging, yet it couldn't touch the surge of freedom in my chest. I was going home, back to my parents' arms, back to the people who truly loved me. All the years of suffering, humiliation, and injustice would stay behind. Almost there, just a little further. I closed my eyes. The world should have ended. But instead, a brutal jolt ripped through me. A hand clamped onto my arm, muscles straining, yanking me back from the edge. I opened my eyes. Leo hung from the railing with one hand, the other gripping my arm as though letting go was unthinkable. "Let go," I said, my voice unnervingly calm. Leo's jaw was tight, his eyes bloodshot and shimmering with unshed tears. "Faye, you and this time," he choked out. "You put on a convincing act, but it won't change anything. Joey, he..." "Let go," I yelled, refusing to hear that name again. I thrashed violently, desperate to free myself. Leo leaned halfway over the edge, his hold on the railing tenuous as my struggles threatened to pull us both into the abyss. "Stop moving," he bellowed. "We'll both fall." When I ignored him, his tone softened, almost pleading. "I can't just let you die. If you keep this up, I'll fall with you. Do you really want me to die with you?" "Faye." He used my old name, the one he had whispered when we lived together, when the world felt small, and it was just the two of us. I remembered those days. He had been the only family I had. I'd spoiled him endlessly, and he'd learned early that charm could get him anything from me. Now, I looked up into his eyes, once bright as stars. Behind the controlled facade, a flicker of hope lingered. Was he waiting for me to respond? The thought nearly made me laugh at my own sentimentality. And I did laugh. I stared straight into his eyes and spoke, each word sharp and icy. "Who cares if you die?" The color drained from his face. His grip faltered, and his expression froze, as if he couldn't process the cruelty in my words. For a brief moment, hope surged in my chest again. Leo's grip was slipping when a sharp gasp rang out nearby, followed by panicked cries for help. The sudden noise jolted him back to reality. His fingers, which had nearly released me, tightened again, trembling with a strange mix of fear and disbelief. By the time a few onlookers pulled us both back to solid ground, Leo's usual hostility was gone. For once, he was quiet, too quiet. When I tried to break free and head for the railing again, he pushed through the crowd and seized my wrist with a grip that felt like iron. "We still don't know what happened to Sarah," he announced stiffly, his voice tight, his eyes rimmed red. "As the prime suspect, it's my job to keep an eye on you." He caught me staring and quickly turned away. For a fleeting second, though, I caught something raw on his face, an emotion that looked almost like sorrow. Sorrow? For what? I nearly laughed. I remembered the first time I met Leo. Back when the sterling heir had been kidnapped and abandoned by his parents' rivals, left to rot in the slums. He was only 7, a skinny little boy bullied by other kids and chased by stray dogs. One day, he hid inside a reeking dumpster at the end of an alley, too exhausted to move. It was the height of summer. The air was heavy with heat and flies. He crouched there, surrounded by filth, waiting for life to end. His only act of defiance was calling out to me as I walked by on my way home from school. I still remember pulling him out of that dumpster, scrubbing the grime off his face, and tailoring my late father's old clothes to fit him. I was 12 then, living off a small orphan's allowance, but I shared every bit of it with him. I hadn't even recovered my memories as a mission runner yet. I was just an ordinary girl with no powers or advantages. To feed us both and keep him in school, I worked part-time after class, collecting bottles, washing dishes, anything that paid. Because I was underage, I earned barely anything. I washed plates until my hands cracked, wondering how many more I'd need to scrub before I could buy us a future. Those long, sweaty evenings in the back of a greasy restaurant, the weak hum of an old fan, and the constant ache in my arms became the backdrop of my youth. Once, I asked him why he'd called out to me that day instead of the dozens of others who had passed the alley. He'd smiled, a bright, innocent smile, and said he had been watching for a while. He chose me because he believed I was the only one who looked truly kind. That same Leo vanished without a word when his rich parents found him years later. When we finally met again, he stood beside Sarah, denouncing me with righteous anger. The boy who once swore he trusted my kindness was now quick to condemn me, his voice full of disappointment and disgust. And now, thanks to his self-appointed duty of guarding me for Sarah's sake, I couldn't even find a chance to die in peace. After seeing me try to jump twice without hesitation, Leo finally understood. This wasn't an act. I genuinely wanted to die. His attitude shifted after that. On the drive back, he spoke more gently, as though trying to talk me off a ledge I'd already left. "You've done a lot of wrong things," he said quietly, "but Sarah isn't vindictive. If you just apologize, maybe everything can go back to how it was." I didn't respond. I kept my eyes closed, pretending to sleep. It wasn't until he mentioned Joey that my pulse stirred. Leo noticed. A faint, bitter smile touched his lips, but I didn't care. All I could think about was Joey, the man who worshipped Sarah to the point of madness. If I provoked him enough, maybe he'd finally do me the favor I couldn't do for myself. Maybe he'd kill me for her. Joey Vaughn, my mission target. In the novel, he was the tragic second male lead, wealthy, brilliant, and utterly devoted to the heroine. His childhood had been a wasteland of neglect and emotional abuse. Sarah Roswell had been the first light in his darkness, the one person who made him believe life could be kind. Even after he became a powerful tycoon who could move markets with a single word, that devotion never wavered. He built empires, but all for her. And when the story reached its end, after ensuring her happiness with another man, he walked into the sea and never returned. That was the fate I was sent to change. My mission began in high school, the moment Sarah transferred to our class and I awakened as a mission runner. By then, Joey had already fallen for her at first sight, enchanted by the way she shielded a stray kitten from the rain. But his love wasn't loud or desperate. It was quiet, enduring. He would have accepted any pain, even marrying someone he didn't love, if it meant protecting her. That someone was me. At the time, Sarah mistakenly believed I had feelings for the main male lead, Ethan Cross. Heartbroken, she withdrew. Joey tried to comfort her, but nothing worked. So, he did the only thing he could think of. He pursued me. By keeping me close, he could keep Sarah in his sight. How pathetic that I once believed I had won his heart. I even told the system proudly that sincerity could melt any ice. An iceberg does melt, yes, but never for someone like me. Joey came back while Leo was keeping watch over me in the living room. He watched me so closely I couldn't move, so I bored myself by playing a handheld game. Then the maids announced him in the foyer, and the next moment my console was knocked from my hands. Joey's hard, handsome face filled my vision, a suffocating pressure curling around my throat. My head went fuzzy, everything narrowing to his bloodshot eyes. "Where did you hide her?" he snarled. "Where's Sarah?" They still hadn't found her. I couldn't help a small, satisfied smile. As expected, the heroine loved a dramatic entrance. She always made sure the audience waited. My smile must have provoked him, because his grip tightened. Perfect, I thought, silently thrilled. Strangle me, and not only will I get to go home, but you'll end up rotting behind bars. Suddenly, there was a roar beside me, Leo lunging forward and throwing a punch at Joey's face. Joey sidestepped, and the hand at my throat released. I stumbled into a warm, protective hold. It was Leo. He steadied me, pushed me behind him, and for the first time in years, looked at Joey with raw, unmasked fury. "Joey, you nearly killed her," he barked. Joey, who had been staring at his own hands as if unmoored, lifted his head. When his gaze met mine behind Leo, it cooled instantly. "Leo, Faye is my fiancée," he said, voice flat. "This is between us." He started to step past Leo and ordered me, "Come here." I didn't move. Leo, having reached the end of his patience, planted himself between us and protected me more fiercely. "She's your fiancée, and this is how you treat her?" "Who gave you the right?" he demanded. Joey snapped back sharp, veins visible at his neck. "She had Sarah kidnapped. We still don't know if Sarah is alive or dead." Then he tried to shame Leo. "Remember when you first came to the Sterlings? Who welcomed you back, who helped you belong? Sarah did. Don't be ungrateful." Leo fell quiet. When it came to Sarah, he almost always softened, but after a long pause he asked, steady and measured, "Do you have proof?" Joey's answer was angry and immediate. "Hasn't she done enough already? She framed Sarah, stole from her. Everyone knows it. And each time, Sarah forgave her. Isn't that enough?" I almost laughed, listening from behind Leo. Of course Sarah forgave me. Who else would make her magnanimous glow so obvious? Just as I was about to provoke Joey into giving me what I wanted, Leo surprised both of us. "I believe her," he said. "What?" I blurted, incredulous. "I believe Faye. She's innocent," he repeated, voice ringing with conviction. Joey's expression turned stormy. I spoke from behind Leo, with a humorless smile. "Don't start now. You've accused me so many times. What's one more?" I tried to step around Leo and leave. He clutched my wrist, holding me fast, eyes never leaving Joey. "Under what condition would someone choose death to prove their innocence?" he asked. "If a person is so constantly misunderstood, so defenseless, that the only way left is a final act, it means they've been wronged over and over. Right after you abandoned her, Joey, she jumped off the roof in front of me. She doesn't want to live." Of course, I realized then what his afternoon had been spent thinking. That smile I'd worn as I leapt, the pure joy of finally going home, must have looked like a bitter, relieved grin to him. I noticed Joey's knuckles tremble under his sleeve, pain flickering in his eyes. Before I could interrupt, Leo grabbed me and started pulling me toward the front door. "They don't believe you, but I do this time," he said urgently. "Faye, come with me." No, I snapped, wrenching my arm free and giving him a cold smirk under his astonished stare. Don't play the hero, Leo. I don't believe you, for a second. With him around, I'd never get another chance to go home. An enraged Joey was a far better means to an end. With the right provocation, I might finally reach the perfect finale. I go home, he goes to jail. I expected Leo to lash out at me again, to hide his anger behind his usual passive-aggressive remarks. But instead, he just stood there, silent. His eyes grew glossy, his voice trembling when he finally spoke. I won't let anything happen to you, he said quietly, then turned and walked out. When I looked back, Joey was still there, watching me. His expression was calm, but a storm churned behind his eyes. You and Leo seem close, he said, voice sharp. I shrugged. I raised him once. That's all. It was the first time I'd said it aloud. The truth of Leo's childhood, his years spent surviving in the streets before the Sterlings took him back, had been buried long ago. No one knew. Before I could even blink, Joey shoved me onto the sofa. His hand went to my throat again, but this time, the touch was strangely gentle, his face so close I could feel his breath. His grip loosened as he stared at me. Then, with a faint sigh, he let go. His thumb brushed over the bruises he'd left, almost tenderly. Let's stop fighting, he murmured. Just tell me where Sarah is. Please. For a second, something human flickered in his eyes, that same softness he'd shown when he once knelt to propose. He had told me then, if you behave and stop causing trouble, we can finally be happy. But I already knew he'd only proposed because Sarah wanted him to. He didn't love me. He was keeping me as her replacement. Now, staring at that familiar face, I smiled faintly. Faye, he said gently, hope sparking in his tone. Be good. We can still fix this, as long as you stop hurting Sarah. In your dreams. I cut him off. My voice was ice. Telling you where she is or pretending we can be happy again, both are delusions. If you keep pushing me, I won't hold back, he warned. Then do it, I challenged. If you can't kill me, you're weaker than I thought. He flinched, anger flashing in his eyes, but before anything else could happen, everything went dark. When I opened my eyes again, I was half-conscious, my body weak and my mind foggy. I felt something warm touch my cheek, then the soft brush of lips. It must be a dream, I thought. Joey had never kissed me unless someone was watching. But the voice I heard next wasn't imagined. It was real, low, and unsteady. Faye, what am I supposed to do with you? I forced my eyes open and found him gazing down at me. For the first time, I saw something raw beneath his usual control. Guilt, regret, pity. Then it all vanished. His face hardened again. Tell me where Sarah is, he said, his tone calm but dangerous. In his hand was a syringe filled with clear liquid. This, he explained with eerie composure, is rare, expensive, and untraceable. 3 minutes of agony, and it looks like a heart attack. I smiled. Joey mistook it for surrender, right until I grabbed his wrist and drove the needle into my own neck. Joey, I whispered, my voice trembling as my vision blurred, I'll tell you a secret. He looked stunned, already shouting for help, clutching me against him. I was good to you because I loved you. I know, he said quickly, voice cracking. I know, just stay awake, please. I leaned against his shoulder, finishing the sentence with a faint smile. I loved you, but you never trusted me. Now, the thought of you makes me sick. I'd rather die than share the same world with you. With what little strength I had left, I pushed him away. His face twisted, shock, pain, confusion, all blending together as I slipped from his arms. Finally, I thought, I can go home. Faye! Faye! The sound of the door bursting open reached me faintly, followed by a familiar voice. Ethan Cross. He rushed in, shouting. We found Sarah. It was her rival family. They were behind everything. What did you say? Joey's voice trembled. But I didn't hear the rest. My soul felt light. My parents' faces appeared before me, smiling gently. I reached for them. And then something yanked me back. When I opened my eyes again, all I saw was white. The sharp scent of antiseptic filled my lungs. A hospital? You're awake? Ethan's voice was calm and kind. He was peeling an apple beside my bed, his usual gentle smile in place. But I only felt disappointment. Why am I still alive? I asked, my tone flat. His hands froze mid-motion. He sighed softly, set the knife down, and tucked the blanket around me. I explained everything to them. Joey's too ashamed to face you now. They all know they were wrong. Don't dwell on it, he said quietly. You still have